And hello, and welcome to the Games Monster podcast. My name is David Pistansky, and today we're going to be discussing everything about Nintendo's E3 2021 presentation. My goodness, it was an interesting one. They did their usual Nintendo Direct, as they've been doing over the last few years, and of course, with the pandemic last year, this year, everything's been Nintendo Direct style. It's all just been streaming shows, so Nintendo really were ahead of the game with that. But let's talk about the big reveals. And were there any? Yes, there was. Were there what people expected? Perhaps not. There was some definite nice surprises, but whether or not there was everything we all could have hoped for, I am a little more skeptical, just because we started things off, and for a moment I was like, oh my god, this is Breath of the Wild 2. We can see Ganon, and someone's carrying Ganon, throwing him into like the pits of Mount Doom or whatever, and no, it was a Tekken thing. Tekken is joining Super Smash Brothers, and I forget how the character's name is pronounced. Kazuya? I forget. It's like one of the main dudes from Tekken. Tekken I played back in the day, and it's cool to see him. I do feel the nostalgia, and it was cool on the trailers just to see Tekken crossing over, not just with like Ganon and Legend of Zelda and Nintendo characters, but also when they had him against Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter, see him against like characters from King of Fighters, I believe, are in Smash Brothers Ultimate as well. So it was real Ultimate Fighters Megamix. You know, it's amazing that Sega came up with the idea of Fighters Megamix before this was even like a thing of Smash Brothers, and they weren't the ones to capitalize on it. But they got in there first, even before Capcom versus SNK and any of this. So that's very cool if you're a Smash Brothers player to be able to have that to look forward to. But truthfully, as nice as that was as a reveal, it would have been cool if there was a big game reveal to start things off. So when I saw that as being the way that they were starting off the Nintendo E3 presentation, I was a little bit like, this isn't quite what I was hoping for. What else did we get? We got the reveal Life is Strange True Colors, and the remastered collection is coming to the Switch, so that's nice that they will be coming. The True Colors game is coming on September 10th, and the remastered collection later in the year, so interesting that a sequel will make it before the earlier games. But what else we got? So Guardians of the Galaxy, that was revealed in the Square Enix presentation, will be coming to the Switch, and from what I've heard, I didn't pick up this at the time, but then what I've seen others report online is that it will only be able to be played as a cloud edition, so no pun intended with Final Fantasy developers there, Square Enix, but you'll only be able to play this online. You won't be able to download it, you won't be able to get a physical copy. We saw that there would be Worms Rumble, which, if you're a fan of Worms, and I think a lot of people are a fan of Worms, I'm not the biggest fan of Worms, but I do like the Worms. I feel affectionate towards the idea, again, for the nostalgia of it, and whilst I'll play a Worms game happily, it's not something I'm going to rush out to get myself. But let's see. What else did we see? Dear Villagers. What's that? Okay, this was something else. Don't know this one. Indie game by the look of it. And 2 Point Campus, which is a Sega game. I think this was shown off in a Sega-style direct about Sonic the Hedgehog a couple of months ago. And I think Sonic may be coming to it. I may be wrong on that. We saw that Super Monkey Ball is returning. So there'll be a new Super Monkey Ball game coming to the Nintendo Switch, which is very cool. If you ever played this back in the day, I think there was a remastered collection or some description recently, but now that there's going to be Banana Mania. Banana Mania, is that the correct name? I believe so. Yeah, Banana Mania. And that just looks as good as ever. So again, if you're a fan of it on the GameCube or any of the consoles since, I know it was still a thing during the era of the Wii, especially you could get the balance board edition. That was quite cool, and that will be coming out later this year in October. Then there's going to be the new Mario Party game, and if you're a fan of playing the multiplayer, fun Mario Party games, then this will be a good one. And what else did we have? It looks great, Mario Party Superstars, and we had Super Mario Party, a year ago, 2 years ago now. So it's good that they are keeping that going. Interesting that they've completely moved away from the idea of just saying like Mario Party 12, Mario Party 13 or what have you. We saw then the big reveal, the biggest surprise, the most exciting part of all of this was undoubtedly that instead of getting Metroid Prime 4 shown, they suddenly flashed up on the screen Metroid 5. And I was like, that's insanely exciting. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how this is quite Metroid 5, because obviously Metroid Prime series, I believe, are prequels to Metroid, Super Metroid, and Super Metroid is itself. So let's figure this out. So Metroid Prime 1, 2, 3, and 4 are prequels. So them saying Metroid 5, they're not saying, well, you haven't got Metroid Prime 4 yet, and we're skipping straight to number 5 to show you here. It's unrelated to the Metroid Prime games. Hence, they doesn't have Prime in the title. But there was the NES Metroid, the Game Boy Metroid 2 Samus Returns, and then that had a reimagining, I guess, on the 3DS recently. Then we had Super Metroid, would have been Metroid 3, and I guess Metroid Other M would have been Metroid 4, unless there was something on the Game Boy Advance, which was like Metroid Prime Fusion, and there may have been another, there definitely was another one. I think Fusion was the reimagining of the first Metroid, so I can't remember what the other one was on the Game Boy Advance, but there was one, but maybe that counts as Metroid 4. But this is Metroid Dread, which itself, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's really exciting, because this being a 2D Metroid game, obviously distinguishes it from Metroid Prime series, which are first-person adventures. And Metroid Dread was a name which I believe was supposed to be a Nintendo DS game. So we got Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS, which was a Metroid Prime game. And there was said to be Metroid Dread. And it didn't come out, it got cancelled, and people said for years about, oh, well, there was this game, why did it get cancelled? Metroid's kind of dead, and it truly has been. Coming back only for smatterings here or there. And then there was rumours about it coming back, and they do acknowledge this. There was a developer video all about Metroid Dread, but they said they did try to bring it back. And they now are bringing it back, and they also showed off a couple of amiibos. Obviously, Samus has got a new design outfit in this. So gone are like the classic orange, and now there's like white and blue and red, I believe. And it's in a 2-pack with another character. So that is probably for me the most exciting thing we got on this Direct. They should have saved that till last, but probably because it was a 2D Metroid, they put it in the middle, so it seemed like a big deal. But when I saw that as a big deal in the Direct, I was like, we're going to get something huge at the end. Thinking, well, it's going to be Breath of the Wild 2. And we did get that, but I'll come to that in a minute. They showed off a new Just Dance. They showed off a new cruising game, which is Cruisin' Blast. So if anyone remembers Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World, back on the days of the N64. I wasn't aware that the idea of cruising was a Nintendo exclusive, but apparently Cruisin' Blast is a Switch exclusive, which is unusual. There's not often many Switch exclusives if they're not owned by Nintendo. Maybe Cruisin' is, because obviously Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World were Nintendo 64 exclusive, but I thought they were Midway games, but who knows, maybe they were funded by Nintendo so they own it. They showed off some Dragon Ball Z games. They showed off what else? So I didn't really have a great interest in Dragon Ball Z, but if that's your kind of thing, then that looks cool. Now, what they showed off really interestingly was a new Mario Golf game, and it's Mario Golf Super Rush, which is it looks really fun. It kind of reminded me of the old Sega Saturn game Sonic R, because you would take your golf shots, and then after that, you would suddenly have your characters running towards the ball, which is something unusual. So they called it speed golf, and it just had your characters rushing to get to the ball wherever you've putted it to, and it would like blending Mario Kart in with Mario Golf, but because you run on foot, it really did make it feel a lot more like Sonic R, if you remember the Sega Saturn game. And I think that's a really, really cool idea. Like, Nintendo have taken a golf game, Mario-fied it years ago, but now they've Diddy Kong Racing-ified it by making it somewhat of an adventure racing game. So it feels like it's more than just playing the sport. It really feels like your character and who you choose as your character and their attributes are going to make a big difference. So that will be available June 25th, which is that really true? June 25th? That is so close now. That is like 9 days from right now. So that will be cool. Hopefully we'll check that out. Monster Hunter Stories 2 was shown, which if you've got the previous ones, then brilliant. Now, the previous Monster Hunter Stories, I believe, did come out on the Switch, but it was an upgrade of the 3DS game, if I remember correctly. So if this is another new exclusive Monster Hunter game, then that is brilliant, because obviously the Monster Hunter game has been a big deal for Nintendo going back to the 3DS days. And let's see, July 9th, which means that's really near, they showed off a new WarioWare, and they made a big deal about how you could play it together. I think it's like 2-player, or maybe it's more than 2-player. Yeah, it looks like it's a 2-player game. WarioWare Get Together, available in September, and that's a good little game in terms of if you view these Nintendo Directs as seeing like, okay, so what have Nintendo got? Do they have the heavy hitters? Yes. Do they have some nice filler? Then WarioWare is the perfect example of some nice filler. Shin Megami Tensei 5 was shown off. And again, that's never really been my cup of tea, but I know it's a big deal to a lot of people, so that's good for them for having that. So that's available in November 12th. We then saw a bunch of different things coming out, I believe. I forget what we saw next. Just trying to see if I can scrub through and find it. Dragon Romper, and then this was a cool one from the Wii U. We got Fatal Frame 5, Black Maiden, Maiden of the Black Water. So Fatal Frame 5, Maiden of the Black Water was the name of it, and that was a game I had on the Wii U. It got a very, very limited release. Interestingly, as well as coming to the Switch, it will also apparently be coming to the PS5, possibly Xbox as well. And that kind of makes sense in the degree that Nintendo ended up owning Fatal Frame, but at least that was what was understood. But obviously, the Fatal Frame series originally did appear on other machines as well, so for it to go back, to me, it's no big deal. So that's what else. We saw that there's going to be some DLC for Doom Eternal. Great. There's showing that there's going to be Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remaster coming to the Switch, which again is a big deal. And we saw, what was this? A cool first-person shootery game. Or, sorry, third-person shooter adventure. Can't pick out the name of it here. So, Strange Brigade. That looks alright. Apparently that's available now. I'd be interested to see the reviews. I don't know if I'll check it out if it's full price, but I will check it out. They showed off the Mario plus Rabbids game that was shown off at the Ubisoft convention. So that's Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and if you love the original, you're going to like that, guaranteed, because it looks more of the same, but in a great way. One of the big surprises is that we're getting Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, and it's a funny way of using the term reboot in there. And then we came to the big deal, The Legend of Zelda, and last year, obviously, we had the Super Mario anniversary, and now it's the Legend of Zelda anniversary. Now, maybe Legend of Zelda all falls by the wayside just because it's the year after the Mario anniversary. But they started off showing us Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity expansion pass, which is cool that that's coming out, and that's coming out soon. Then they showed off that we will be getting, wait for it, Skyward Sword, which we already knew we were getting, so they just showed us a little bit of that. So obviously there is stuff for the Zelda anniversary, but we already knew about it. So Skyward Sword HD, and then they showed what we all expected after the success last year of the Super Mario Game & Watch. We are now getting a Legend of Zelda one, and frankly this one looks, to me, better to be able to get than the previous one that we got of the Mario games, because that was Mario Brothers 1 and 2 in the NES style, so not even the Super Mario All-Stars style. And once again, we're going retro, no upgrades to it here, but we're getting the NES Legend of Zelda, we're getting Zelda 2 Adventure of Link, and then we're getting the Game Boy Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And when you consider that Link's Awakening was remade for the Nintendo Switch, I think that's pretty cool that you get this extra game, and then you get a Link-inspired version of the Game & Watch classic game Vermin. So there are 4 games on there. Obviously, 3 of them are big role-playing adventure games, or action-adventure games, I should say. But they will be something that you can keep chipping away at. If they've got so you can do quick saves on there, that would be good. But if not, and it's just like how they were back in the day, that's no bad thing either. But they are really good games, and I can definitely see getting a lot more mileage out of playing them, a lot more hours just required to play them and beat them compared to playing like the Mario 1 and 2 games. And then they showed off Breath of the Wild sequel, which still didn't get a name, but it looks brilliant. It's great that this one is made from the ground up for the Switch. And there'll be some people thinking, oh, why couldn't they put it on the Wii U just for the sake of it? Imagine if they announced that it will be coming to the Wii U just for the hell of it. But the graphics of this look as good as what I remember of Breath of the Wild. I'm sure in some ways people say this is better or that is better because the Switch is obviously more powerful than the Wii U, and so then it won't be held back by having to be on the Wii U as well as the Switch. And it'll be interesting. We saw that Link has a new power where he can like go through solid objects. We saw that going up into the sky is going to be a thing. So obviously again that ties into Skyward Sword. We saw like a fortress castle thing in the sky. Whether Ganon will be back or what the story is, we don't quite know. But that won't be out until 2022, which, considering they said today we're going to focus on things that are coming out this year, it was a little disappointing that that wasn't this year. If it had have been this year, then that would have been amazing. But just the fact they say 2022, I get the feeling that it may not be until Christmas 2022. But who knows, they might just have it in around March, coinciding with the anniversary of when Breath of the Wild first came out. Anyway, for me, that is just about time on this quick update here of Nintendo's E3 2021. I will be doing another podcast later on talking about some of the other things that have happened. I already did a podcast a day or so ago about the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, so do make sure you listen to that on the archive. You can find all of our shows on the major podcast platforms. This is, of course, the Games Monster podcast. And, of course, you can go over to youtube.com/Extreme Improv for so many shows. All of our podcasts, Geek Battle Show, which is a comedy panel show themed around all things geeky, gaming and otherwise. And we have loads of other great stuff. So from me, until next time, stay safe, always stay extremed, and ciao for now.